Eugenics covers a great many sciences. It affects all races, and some races should be the most outspoken against it, including Native Americans, Jews, and blacks, because of the history of eugenicists disproportionately targeting these groups of people. Indians should also be outraged. Millions of them were slaughtered by the policies of eugenicists. I believe it was in the 40s or something like that. It was somewhere around there. I'm talking about Indians from India. Eugenics is not exclusively Nazi. The eugenics movement first took hold in America in a multicultural, pluralistic society. That means different groups of people had different perspectives on how eugenics should play out. Obviously, most people didn't approve, but there were people from every race that did approve, and they had their own ideas, especially elitist, governing class, plutocracy, aristocracy, kleptocratic ninnies, and Ivy League scum like David Starr Jordan. Stanford, Harvard, Yale were full of eugenicists and eugenic talk. Eugenics is the brontosaurus in a little box, not even the elephant in the fucking room. And yet nobody wants to talk about it. People are forced medicated every day all over America based on eugenic philosophies and policies, and nobody wants to talk about it in a public forum. They don't want to debate it. It's not an issue. When you talk about campaign finance, it is a subcategory of eugenics because eugenic policies have created our political system, especially finance. Oh, they are very concerned with finance. That's why they said that certain people, paupers, the licentious, the imbeciles, the mentally ill, were a burden, a financial and social burden on society. Finance, financial sciences, economics are disproportionately dominated by eugenicists. Eugenic garbage. So when you look at Nazi Germany, this was the Nazi idea of eugenics. And some Zionists agreed with them. They said, look, we want all the Jews to leave and to go to Israel. They can do eugenics on the Jews who remain because they are traitors to our Zionist cause anyway. So there are eugenicists from every country. There's Israeli eugenicists in Israel. And yes, there's even Mexican eugenicists in Mexico. Just because a country has a big problem with poverty doesn't mean there's no eugenicists. In fact, there's eugenicists offering their global solution to these problems in every country in the world. And that's what, and they recruit from psych wards, mental institutions, right? I'm not saying every person who's a staff member at a psychiatric institution is a eugenicist. I'm not saying that. But I am saying when you deal with the mentally ill day in and day out, or you work at a homeless shelter, there's a high probability that you're going to start resenting these people. Why are there so many of them? Why doesn't anyone limit the number? Perhaps we should limit how many of them there are by any means necessary. You can't say, well, I'm white and this disproportionately targets black people and so on, because there are poor white people being targeted too. There are neo-Nazi groups. Some of them are smart enough to say, hey, you know what? We're white trash to the elite. They want to do these things to us too. Other ones say, well, I am a hardcore Nazi. I don't care if I'm poor or not. I'm going to help the eugenicists because that's what Nazis do. Most eugenicists will not openly say they're eugenicists. They will vehemently deny being eugenicists. It's part of the purpose of secret societies. The Berzelius Society is based on named after a chemist, Johann Berzelius. They're teamed up with, their same secret society structure as Wolf's Heads, Skull and Bones, and Scroll and Key. Right? Secret society implications, death, cults kind of implications. The Skull and Bones is the Nazi party. A lot of these symbols are eugenicist secret society symbols. And that's why you see them in different groups. You'll see them in gangs and Nazi groups. You'll see them in some Jewish groups, in Masonic groups, Templars and what have you. And this is the symbol of controlling society, mind, body, and soul, which includes reproduction. Genetics as a science is dominated by eugenicists. So it is fair to say that eugenetics has become nothing more than eugenics. Same thing with social biology and biodemography. Eugenicists run the country. And anytime you have eugenicists talking about anything that relates to eugenics, which is almost everything, it is a very obvious sign of eugenics. Rockefeller talking about population control, obviously related to eugenics. The bankers ripping people off and maintaining their control over society, related to eugenics. The governing class setting the stage for high suicide rates, gang violence, and societal ills that cause death, drug use, cancers, preventable deaths, all relate to eugenics. There are anthropologists who say the things that the eugenicists want them to say. There are many sciences, valid sciences, that are corrupted with eugenic lies and falsified evidence. You have a power struggle within different eugenic race-based groups. Sure. But eugenics is still the brontosaurus in a little fucking box. People looking in the box. I don't see any problems. So there's a little dust in the corner. When a good-looking man in society cannot find a date, it is eugenics. A lot of people don't grasp that. Let's face it. If you're a good-looking man, even if you live in fucking Alaska, for you to have trouble finding a good-looking date, there's something seriously wrong going on, and that is a result of eugenics. So don't make no mistake. I'd go as far as to say anyone having trouble finding a date is probably related to eugenics as well. And a lot of people will say stupid shit like, oh, he wants to blame the eugenicists because, this, that, and the other thing. He can't get a date. Women think he's an asshole. His view on women, all these mainstream philosophies and lifestyles are the results of eugenics. I mean, come on, people. You think these people control everything, but magically they let you live in any way you see fit? They do all this mind control, but they let you think what you want. They do all this mind control, but every mainstream movement is uncontrolled. Is that what you think? If they pay off the politicians, but they pay no attention to the masses of people within movements. Even though there are millions of people in eugenic secret societies like Masonry. Remember, Skull and Bones is not just one group of people. The graduating class of 2002. No, there are every year Skull and Bonesmen graduate. Every year Berzelius bitches graduate. Eugenicists are everywhere. Looking pretty, playing stupid. When the CIA brought crack into the black communities, it was part of a eugenic program. Part of the reason why life is a bitch is because of eugenicists. They don't want you to enjoy your life unless you're helping them do eugenics on people. That is, and look at Donald Ewan Cameron, a fucking eugenicist, saying that psychiatrists have a responsibility to aid in social planning to make sure that the poor, that the mentally ill, that people who are criminals, people who have genetic criminal proclivities are kept from society, either screened out, placed in institutions or prisons. They have an active responsibility to help the eugenic process, to spearhead the eugenic process. Police officers. I think so many Masons are police officers and intelligence communities, right? They say, well, there's all these crazy criminals and mentally ill people and these people with diseases, and that's why we wear these plastic gloves when we search people, right? Because they have fucking needles and they have AIDS and shit, and we don't want to get poked and get AIDS. We don't want to get killed by a crazy person. We don't want some hardcore gangbanger to blow our fucking brains out. Let's screen them out. Don't you see? Women who are rape victims, they'll become eugenic feminists quite often. They'll say it is better if these people don't exist in the first place. My experience is so horrible. I don't want anyone ever to go through that. And I'm not saying their experience isn't horrible. But I'm saying eugenics is wrong. I'm not saying if you have AIDS, you should have 10 fucking kids and not worry about anything. There's a difference between practical solutions, common sense, and fucking eugenics. Eugenics is the science of pretending. It's a pseudoscience of pretending that you're doing things in the best interest of humanity when you're actually doing it in the best interest of the group that is doing it. It's always been like that. Always pretend there's some greater cause, right? The Nazis, we're doing this for, the fatherland, the motherland, the German race, Deutschland, or whatever they called it. The Aryan bloodlines, the Lebensborn program, right? Were they just concerned with sterilization, or did they also have a breeding program? So they're like, look, we're going to let all you people who have positive eugenic traits, that's why we have eugenic certificates. We're going to let you breed. We're going to set up the situation so it's easy for you to breed. And we're going to sterilize those people. It's still going on today. There are fucking geeky bootlicking ninnies that could have sex with 100 top-notch bitches in one day if they so please, because the social circumstances of crony capitalist America have made it so